Hello, it is Wednesday, the 8th of April. I'm Joe, he's Ollie, and this is the Premier Live podcast.
Today, we'll be talking about the potential Premier League wage cut, the possibility of the rest of the season being played behind closed doors, small quiz, and your questions and their answers.
Okay, so, Ollie, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing quite nice. What about you?
It's a lovely day. Yeah, I'm not bad, it's a lovely day, isn't it?
Yeah, it is rather.
Had some nice weather over the past few days. Obviously, with the current coronavirus, we are still doing this podcast over Skype, so if the quality isn't the best, we apologise, but we're doing our best to bring you this content.
We most certainly are.
Alright, so moving on to the first talking point of the day is the potential wage cuts in the Premier League. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think obviously it would help the clubs and the owners of the clubs, because the less wages you have to pay, the more chance they're alive. I read this thing a few days ago, and it said that Burnley could go bust by August, or will go bust by August, if this corona epidemic carries on. Meaning that, you could lose the likes of Burnley, who have, been in the top flight for quite a few years and really wouldn't think as one of the contenders to go under. Same with Bournemouth, but I think they've always sort of been in trouble because of the size of their stadium and stuff like that. Only 10,000 people. See, Anfield, that's what, 60,000 people? That's got 6 times the amount of seats as the Vitality, meaning that it will basically get 6 times more revenue from games, plus 6 times more amount of money from selling food, selling drinks, and, they'll be able to carry on because of the size of their stadium. You've got to pay to get.
Oh yeah, and then also you have clubs like, with Anfield as well, tickets to go and see a Liverpool game are going to be a lot more expensive than tickets to go and see a Bournemouth game, so I'll get more money on that side of things. And I think the wage cuts are absolutely essential during this time, because the last thing you want, as you said, clubs like Burnley, you don't want them to go bust. They're a big club, they're a Premier League club, and that's something you don't want to hear. And that's why I think it's essential that, obviously, when it's safe to do so, they carry on playing so the clubs can get their revenue in. But then also, players take a 30% wage cut, they're still going to be earning top players, still probably earning about 100 grand a week. Some of the players at smaller clubs, still 20 grand a week. That's a lot of money. And it's not going to affect their lives as much, as they're going to have lots of money already in. And I think 30% for a couple of months is something that everyone should do.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think also with stewards having their wages cut could potentially be quite good, because they'll get paid for match days for working, and they'll basically be paid out of stuff like selling food, selling tickets, and without being able to sell tickets and sell food, those stewards won't be getting paid out of the stuff that they normally would, but instead getting paid out of the back pocket of Tony Bloom's bank account. So he'll be losing money himself to pay people that aren't really doing anything. But you can't just basically fire them, because you just can't. People have to live. People have families. You can't just fire people and bring them back in when you feel like it. It's Tony Bloom as well. He owns a business, and so that will have to be put on standby. So we'll have to pay those workers as well. And it's he's got another club as well in somewhere, and
I think it's Belgium.
He'll have to pay those stewards as well. He'll have to pay that manager, and it just goes on and on and on.
Well, yeah, and Brighton have promised to pay all of their staff for until they come back, I think it is. instead of placing them on the furlough, which is something Liverpool were going to do with their non-playing staff, placing 200 of them on furlough, which means they'll only receive 80% of their wages from the government and not from the actual football club. And I think that was really poor from them. They've since come out and apologised and said, no, we're going to pay them. We made the wrong decision. We sincerely apologise. And that's what I think every club should do. They have enough money to pay their non-playing staff. Tottenham and Liverpool made a combined profit of £149 million, I think it was, last season. And Tottenham have placed all of their staff on furlough. In Liverpool, they were going to do it, but have since taken them off, which I think is the right thing to do. Because you can't just go up to your staff and go, look, we don't have enough money, you're going on furlough, you're only getting 80% of your wages from the government. You can understand that if it's smaller clubs, like even smaller Premier League clubs, even though they shouldn't, you can understand it for them. As we said, clubs like Bournemouth, who don't bring in enough money from actual games, as their stadium capacity is so small, they won't bring in enough money to carry on paying all of them over this time. But then clubs like in League 2, League 1, you can understand them doing it because they don't get all the TV money in that the Premier League does. And even some Championship clubs you can understand. But those big clubs in the Premier League should also, I think, be giving money down the football pyramid to make sure clubs survive. You've seen it happen in Germany with Leipzig, Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund. They've all given money to lower league clubs and lower clubs in the table who can't necessarily afford to stay alive during this time. I think that's something some of the bigger clubs should do. It's not just about them in this time, it's about the whole of the footballing world.
Yeah, no, definitely. You see teams like Manchester City and Manchester United who really have the most money in the Premier League to spend. And, you know, they should really be giving money to, say, especially both Manchester teams, you know, helping out Salford, because how close they are, you know, I think it would make sense, League 2. But, no, you do see with these lower league teams, League 2, League 1, lots of their players will have other jobs as well. So instead of just training like they do in the Premier League, they'll also, say, work at stores or something like that, you know, part-time, obviously, because they can't just, like, spend the whole day working and not doing any training, because they wouldn't get any game time. But because of how little money they do actually have lower down in the league, they will have other jobs to, you know, bring more money in.
Yeah, and also, like, as well as that, it's like they're gonna have so much free time on their hands. So they've gone from training every single day, every week, and they've gone from doing that to probably having 2 or 3 hour home training sessions. So they're going to have so much time on their hands. And I think volunteering wouldn't be a bad idea. Like you seen Jose Mourinho, I think he went and delivered some Deliveroo orders. They should go and do that. And I know that my cousin, she's a cabin crew manager for EasyJet, and quite a few of their cabin crew and pilots who are first aid trained, they've gone and volunteered to help the NHS out. I think that's something you should see more throughout football during this time. They've got so much time on their free hands. You know you've got enough money in, because they earn bucket loads, especially in the Premier League. They should go out and volunteer, do something good to this cause, or if anything, just spend time with fans, like over the phone, and have a conversation with them.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, as you say, like delivery people as well, because, you know, people like Amazon are always looking for people to deliver. I ordered something, I think it was round about the start of April, and it's, you know, the earliest it's going to come and is in about 2 days, and it's like, and that's because they've not got as many people to be able to ship it out and, like, you know, drive it along or to, like, these homes. So if they did, you know, these footballers or whatever, if they did, you know, say work for Amazon, you know, just voluntarily, part-time or whatever, and they just, you know, helped out, it would mean that there was more the delivery drivers to give people their stuff, meaning that the stuff can come quicker and quicker and quicker, instead of having to wait weeks for it all to come.
And then also at the same time, you have these people who are working, and they'll get more time off if more people volunteer, which means there's less risk of actually spreading and contracting the virus. So I think that's something that footballers should look into during this time and help volunteer at different places. And again, as we said, even if that's delivering for Amazon to help get their deliveries out faster, just think about if a footballer was to knock on your door and deliver you a parcel, that'll make your day as well. And there's so much going around at the minute saying football is for the community as well, and people have proven that. And I think that would just bring football back into the community even more during this time. So I think that, one, it's essential that they take the pay cuts for clubs to stay alive, and two, their free time, why not go and volunteer? Stop the spread of the virus by making less people work more hours. And then also you'll make people's day. And I just think that's like the most important thing for footballers. Yes, they're out on the pitch playing football, having lots of people watching them, but people look up to them as well. So if people were to see their heroes volunteer, they'd think, I want to do that. And it would then move on through time. And I think it would just bring football back into the community even more.
Yeah, no, definitely. Talk about a childhood hero. If someone like that came knocking to your door or whatever, it would be like a childhood hero. And I know this from experience. If you say meet a footballer out in, say, like town or whatever, they deliver something to your house, for at least a year or two, they will be your favourite player at that club, mainly because of they've said hi to you, taken a picture with you, given something to you, and it's like, it happens and people appreciate it. So what's the point in not doing it? It could make and it could make dreams come true, and could also bring more kids into the world of football.
Yeah, and it'll cheer people up as well. I said even if they just knock on their door to deliver a parcel and have a quick conversation, a safe distance apart, then people are going to like them even more, and they'll make them look up to them even more, and then you'll get more public recognition, and then all of a sudden football would be this sport that people would think, these players did this during this time, they've cheered people up during this time, people have looked up to them during this time, and then started to work and get active to be like them in this time. I think that's really important.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the only issue is that we don't actually know what to do, because this won't happen really in any of our lifetimes. I think there's this one bloke who recently survived from coronavirus, who was 101, survived World War II, the Holocaust, and the Spanish flu. So, someone like him, has literally been through two massive epidemics in the of three really big sort of issues in the last 100 years since he was born, and it's like, that's very rare to happen, that someone will live to see two major epidemics where Spanish flu was quite similar to this, obviously not exactly the same, but it was like sort of a flu, and in sort of January, February time, we was all saying that it was like the flu, and it's just like, it's very similar. People in 1920, after about a year-ish, survived it. So why can't we? We've just got to do what we gotta do. And I think cutting the wage and saving football's money completely will help because, you know, it keeps teams alive, even the worst ones, you know, with the worst fans. It'll keep them alive. And it doesn't matter how bad those fans are, or how rough and how dirty those players are. It don't matter, because at the end of the day, this is football. And there is one thing that we all share in common, and that is the love for football.
Yeah, and like you see it happen with Bury earlier on at the beginning of this season. They went bust, and you saw the whole football world come together. And as a whole footballing world, we were saddened by them not being able to carry on this season and die. And that's something you hate to see in football, and that's why the players should take their 30% wage cut. Because if they're taking a 30% wage cut, 30% for a couple of months, not the end of the world. If they don't take it, and that football club ends up dying, they're not going to have any money at all coming into them, because they're not playing for anyone.
No.
And I think that is key for that to happen. So should we move on to the next section?
Yeah. The potential of the rest of the season being played behind closed doors, which could be an interesting one.
Okay, so in the past couple of weeks and days, we've heard a rumour of the football season being finished in a particular space, with all clubs having a quarantine training camp like they do at the World Cup, just to get the season finished. And all games would be broadcast live on TV. Yes, the games will be played behind closed doors, but the clubs will still be getting the money in from TV revenue. And I don't mind this idea, because you can still watch your club play, and then also at the same time, clubs are getting the money in and the season's getting finished. What do you think about this?
I don't know. I think if the season is played behind closed doors, it will show how much the, you know, teams in the Premier League care about their fans. Really. I said it last month and I'll say it again. The fans are the heart of any football club, no matter what. You know, you don't have football without the fans. And it's like, that's literally it. There is no football without no fans. It just doesn't work. You know, so you can't do that. Playing behind closed doors, and if I'm correct, someone suggested playing it in China.
Yeah, I didn't think that was the best idea, considering they're just getting over this epidemic, and we've all got it over here. Flying out to China, giving a second round to them, don't think that's the best idea.
No, I think it would teach you a lesson about eating bats. So.
Anyway, moving on. I think if the season... Thank you. If the season was to be finished and affect next season, I'd rather this season get called off and then start the new season as a new season.
Definitely.
But if we could find a way to finish off this current season without it affecting the new season, I'll be up for that. Because the one thing I don't want to happen is to finish off this season and then it affect next season. I really do want this year to be finished, but I'd only be up for this season to be finished if next season would run as normal. I don't mind if there's no cups or anything, just to be able to maybe have a bit of a later starting date, but I wouldn't want the next season to go like January to July. That's one thing I wouldn't want. I wouldn't want them to cram in games just in order to get the footballing calendar back on track. I'd rather it start from next season as normal, and if needs be, scrap this year.
Yeah, I think what could also be quite unfortunate though is for the Leeds and West Brom. I think, and Fulham as well, because there was the three that was most likely to come up, and you know, obviously it wouldn't be fair on any of them if they was to stay down, but you know, sadly it's got to happen, and Leeds can't be in the Premier League, so
Yeah, and then one question that's coming to my mind as well is, would we be more prepared to call the season off if it was closer at the top and it was unknown who would have won the league? So I think we would be, because we know Liverpool are going to win this Premier League title, even if it's mathematically possible for Man City to come back and get it. They've got such a big lead at the top. It's clear they're going to win it. And if you'd have more teams within a closer proximity of points within each other, and it was properly unknown, with like 3-4 teams of who would win the league, would you be more prepared to call it off?
Yeah, no, I'd say calling the season off then, if it was closer, would be a bit silly. But, you know, we all could. I still think it's quite funny, though, that, after 30 years, of hurt, Liverpool finally going to win the league, and then along comes COVID-19 and spoils their chances.
Yeah, well, I mean, this week the Premier League have said that the season's suspended indefinitely, and that means that it'll be suspended until further notice, and there's a good chance that it will carry on and finish, but we don't know when it will carry on again. But I still don't think that when it's deemed safe to have people travelling around again, like normal, I still don't think it's safe to have 30,000 people in a ground that soon after it's happened and everything's back to normal. I don't think that's safe. So I think they should stop the season or only carry it on when it's safe to have 30,000 people in a football stadium.
The thing is, though, is that obviously we can't just think about how unsafe it's going to be, because, you know, if we think, oh, it's happened once, it could happen again, we could basically just stop the world completely, stay indoors no matter what, grow extremely obese, and die eventually. It would wipe out the human race, and because most of us would have the underlying health condition of, say, diabetes. And it's like, it can't work that way. And we've got to come out. You know, with the Spanish flu, I'll talk about it again, but 100 years ago, they had the Spanish flu, and they got over it. Look at us now, we're all crammed together on subways, and it's like, if you think about it, that could have been the worst thing for something like the Spanish flu. But we still do it. Which is why, I'd say even in about 5-ish years, we'll all be back to how we are today. We'll all be back to, like, you know, cramming in on subs and doing whatever we want, you know? And it's because we'll have forgotten about it, really. And, you know, it'll just be part of history that is still there, but it might not be, you know? Spanish flu's not really alive anymore, is it?
And then also, there's creating a vaccine for it as well. If that happens as soon as possible, then the sooner football season can continue, no one can get it, and everything will be back to normal, as you said. And I think it's important that fans are in the ground supporting their team. Although I don't mind the idea of every team being a quarantine training camp and then playing the rest of their games in, like, the Midlands, at Newcastle, Birmingham, Aston Villa, and having 3-4 games a week at those specific grounds. I think I'd be up for that, to get the season finished, but I think that it's important for the fans to, like, let the team know you're there. Because we spoke about this, I think it was last month's podcast, where if a team like Liverpool was coming up against Norwich at Carrow Road, and Norwich fans really got behind the team, then it would be a slightly more even game. Whereas if it was played behind closed doors, it would literally be quality of players against quality of players, and the managers' tactics against each other, with no real inspiration and push for the players to win. And I think you'd gradually lose the sense that you're doing it for a group of players, which is why I think that it's essential that fans get back into the ground supporting their team with the less games being played behind closed doors as possible. Just quickly, before we move on to the quiz section of this podcast, we would quickly like to shout out Jacko Toffee, who correctly guessed the question of the day right of Calvin Phillips won the Premier League Golden Boot in the 1999 to 2000 season. Who was the next English player to win it? And he commented with the correct guess, Harry Kane. So congratulations to Jacko Toffee. We'll shout you out on our story later today, and you've got a shout out on the podcast as well, because you so happened to comment that right at the end of our last section. So well done. And we'll be putting out these daily quiz questions every day. As I just said, daily. Okay, so quiz time. What are we going to do first, Ollie? Who am I? Or just random general knowledge Premier League questions? Alright, we'll start with some general knowledge Premier League questions. I'll ask you the question first. Okay? So, who holds the record for the most assists in a Premier League season?
Oh. Don't know. Gonna say Steven Gerrard.
Incorrect. The answer is actually Thierry Henry.
I thought he would have been a striker, and a goal scorer, but you know. In which year did the Premier League's first season start, and how many clubs were in this first league of the Premier League? Not the first division, but the Premier League.
So, it'll be 1992 to 93. And I'm just going to go straight in there. Was there 20 teams?
You was close. 1992 and 22 clubs.
Was there?
Yeah.
Didn't know that, to be fair.
No. It's interesting as well.
Alright, next question for you. Which club had the fewest wins in a Premier League season? One Premier League season, which club had the fewest wins?
Derby.
Correct.
Yep.
Well done, 1 point to you.
Yeah, they're 10 points, and that's the lowest.
11 points, I think.
Shut up. Name the player that scored the fastest goal in Premier League history in April 2019, netting after just 7.7 seconds for Southampton.
Shane Long.
Yeah, well done.
Against Watford.
Yep.
Here's an interesting one. The record for the most goals scored by a substitute in the Premier League is 4. But who did this?
Well, they would have had to have come on in the first half, let's be honest. I'm gonna have a gander at someone, I don't know.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Really? Didn't know that one.
Yeah.
Right, here we go. In 2009, I remember this one slightly, Liverpool were beaten by Sunderland after the
Beach ball.
I'm changing this. I'm changing everything I'm doing.
I knew what was coming up there. That, let's be honest, that match has gone down in history, hasn't it? Coming off a beach ball and having that question on the chase, where that question was asked, and I think the woman said, it came off an ice cream van. I think someone on the chase said. Alright then. Next question. Who is the only player to have scored a Premier League hat-trick for 3 different clubs?
different clubs,
Yeah.
it'd have to be Fernando Torres.
Nicolas Anelka.
Oh, right.
He was a good player. So, my penultimate question.
Yeah. Here's one.
No, my penultimate question then.
What was significant about Mario Balotelli's only assist in the Premier League for Manchester City?
Was it the leading to the Aguero goal?
Mario Balotelli, Aguero! Yes, it was.
No. Yes. So I've won. You're just playing for prize now with this question.
Yeah, I am.
For your final question, playing for prize actually. So your final question: Who has scored the fastest Premier League hat-trick?
It's a Norwich player, maybe, or was. That bloke that I talk to every day, and his name is someone. I'm thinking of the German league. Never mind. Go on,
Oh, the player?
Yeah,
Sadio Mane.
is it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay. Which side did Aston Villa beat on May the 2nd, 1993 to confirm Manchester United's first Premier League title?
Wait, can you say that again? Sorry, I'm completely zoned out there.
Which side did Aston Villa on May 2nd, 1993... Oh, let me do that again. Which side beat Aston Villa on May 2nd, 1993 to confirm Manchester United's first Premier League title?
Bradford?
Oldham.
Oh. Oh. Interesting team in the top flight.
Yeah.
Alright, so moving on to the Who Am I section of the quiz, yes? Alright, so we'll give...
First, if you like.
Yeah, we'll give 3 clues. If you get it on the first clue, you get 3 points. Second clue, you get 2 points. And the third clue, you get 1 point.
Yeah. Right. Who am I? I played only 8 minutes for this team.
That's
the
helpful.
Whole of the season.
I don't know.
Second one.
Yep.
This team is currently in the Premier League.
So 8 minutes played in a whole season for a current team in the Premier League.
I am now manager of that team, and they have the smallest capacity.
Oh, Eddie Howe.
Yeah, well done.
Oh, I get 1 point.
Right.
Alright, here's your first one then. As a kid, I started out as a goalkeeper.
Harry Kane.
No.
Oh.
For 2 points, I've won 4 Premier League titles.
So it's not Harry Kane then.
So I started as a goalkeeper and has won 4 Premier League titles. It's going to be a big club.
Guessing
He's currently playing now. I'll give you that clue. He's currently playing now.
Guessing he's not a goalkeeper anymore then. Matic.
No. For question number 3, I will leave Manchester City at the end of this current season.
David Silva.
Correct.
I had either Aguero. I had Aguero in the back of my mind, and then thought, no, it wouldn't be, would it? And then you say leave, and I'm just like, oh, and then this season, Aguero, of course. Right. I complained about not getting enough game time.
Don't know.
I threatened to go to Bayern Munich.
Oh, Leroy Sané?
No. I recently contracted coronavirus.
Oh, Callum Hudson-Odoi.
Well done.
That's another point for me.
So it's what,
2-1.
2-1?
I was released from Chelsea's academy in 2014.
Oh shit. Loftus-Cheek.
No, he's still at Chelsea. At the end of last year, I was named as Young Hammer of the Year for the 3rd time in a row.
Plays at West Ham. Time in a row. Good God, I'm not sure.
Alright, final one. For 1 point, I switched my international... hang a second. Cut this bit out.
Yeah, I will.
I switched my international allegiance to England in
Allegiance.
February 2019.
Oh, Declan Rice.
Correct.
Of course. Hold on. Here we go. My career started in Nice in 2012.
I'll go on to second clue.
Hold on. At my previous club, I scored 37 goals in 85 appearances.
And he starts at Nice.
Yep.
No, go on to the next one.
I'm now a striker for Brighton and Hove Albion.
Oh, Neil Morphy.
Yeah.
Ah, didn't know that too. I was thinking Nice, and I was thinking he started in France. Could it be an Yves Bissouma? And when he said 47, when he said 37 goals, I was like, nah.
That's
Alright.
interesting.
So for your question number 3, it's currently 3-2 to me. We've only got it on the final clue so far. So, for 3 points, I originally played Gaelic football, which is an Irish sport.
Yeah. Aaron Conroy.
No.
Oh.
I cost Everton £60,000 in January 2009.
Shane Duffy.
Incorrect.
Oh, no, I know
To
who
make
it
it 3-3.
I know.
Oh, you know who? I can't give it to you though, because you're already given the answer. I suffered a broken leg playing for the Republic of Ireland in March 2017.
Please tell me it's Seamus Coleman.
It is.
Oh, damn it!
You could have got 2 points.
God damn it! I started my professional career at Newcastle United.
No, move on to the next one.
I stayed at Newcastle for 11 years, going to 3 different teams on loan.
Alan Shearer?
Nope. I currently play for Norwich City.
Oh, which one plays for Newcastle? Which one plays for Cardiff? One of the Murphys. Is it Joshua Jacob? I know one of them plays for Norwich, one of them plays for Cardiff. And they're both at Newcastle. I want to say Jacob Murphy?
Ouch.
It's Josh, innit?
No, it's not.
Isn't it? Oh, I made myself look like a complete
2006
fool
to
there.
2017, Newcastle United went on loan to Falkirk, Carlisle United, Ajax, Ajax2, AZ Alkmaar, Brighton of Albion, then was signed by Brighton of Albion 2017-18, and then sold to Norwich City. He is from the Netherlands,
Tim Krul.
Tim Krul.
Oh. I spent my early years at Carlisle United's academy as a goalkeeper.
I'm not sure.
I'm on my 5th loan away from Manchester United.
What? Wait, what?
So, I spent my early years at Carlisle United's academy.
Yeah.
I am currently on my 5th loan spell away from Manchester United.
Oh, see, Dean Henderson.
Ah!
Yes, get in there, boys.
I have to
What's
get
that?
two. I have to get 2.
Yeah, how many am I on?
No, I have to get 3.
Yeah, you got to get. I started my career at Shrewsbury Town.
Oh God, I don't know. I have to get this next one.
I am a centre back.
Oh nah, mate. Oh, Connor Goldson.
Oh.
Okay. So you have to get 1 point to win. If not, it's a draw. Are you ready for this?
Yep.
I started my career in the 2nd division of French football with a club called Boulogne.
Basuma.
Incorrect. I am a current Premier League player in a Big 6 club.
Kante.
Ah! No! I thought you were going to say Giroud. No!
Let's go, boys.
Alright, you've won the Who Am I won the general knowledge quiz. Now, on to some correspondence.
Q&A, basically.
Alright, so moving on to some correspondence now. First one here is from Hayden Wickwar 123, and he's asked, will the Premier League carry on if the coronavirus stops?
Yes, it will, but obviously this corona thing's meant to be around for quite a while, and it's not just going to be around for a few months, so, you know, we might even be into the 2021-22 season by then. Just don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Premier League will carry on at some point, and it will carry on soon, but it just needs to be safe first. But to answer your question, the Premier League will carry on. And then, just finally, new section of our correspondence here, and we're going to start a personal questions. So we've got one in here from Sam, and we'll answer one per podcast, and it says, what is your favourite Netflix series?
SAO. My friend.
What's that? What's that about?
Well, you see, it's about these people who get stuck inside of a video game. They're stuck inside the video game for about 2 years, and the year is 2022. And it's basically 2 years of their whole school lives, and they're around about our age. In 2022, we'd be 15, 16-ish. The main character's about 14 in 2022, and basically, if you die in there, you die in real life. So, yeah, talk about a death game. Yeah. You
Okay.
finally saved the world.
For me, well, I've watched quite a few Netflix series. Recently, I've watched Sunderland Till I Die Season 2. That's great. I watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Again, that's great. The one I'm on at the minute that I quite like is How I Met Your Mother. And that's like a trash version of Friends, basically. Not very good, but it's funny at the same time, and you want to watch it. So,
I enjoyed Sex Education, actually.
oh yeah, haven't watched that, but people have said that's good.
I watched the whole season in a night.
Nice.
Yeah.
Alright, so that's going to finish off today's podcast. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed the quiz element of this podcast. And again, you can either get in contact with us via DM on our Instagram account, Premier_live, to ask us questions for us to answer in the correspondence part of the podcast, and also personal questions as well to answer in the correspondence part of the podcast. And also, you can email us at premierlivepodcasts@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.